Hi guys and welcome back to Iclone 3D, where we discuss tips, tricks and tutorials for the latest animation softwares. And today we've got a very quick tutorial on how you can actually color grade your scenes inside of Iclone, and you can actually, really take it up the next level. This is what the professionals would do. This is how they would kind of, handle their footage. They'd color grade it. They may not do it inside Iclone, they may do it in another software, but all footage will get color graded. And I'm going to show you the massive difference it does make and the way you can do that using the Amplify LUTs that come with Iclone, or you can buy them directly from the Reallusion store. So without further ado, let's crack on with the tutorial. So what you want to do is you want to come to your content pack, and in your content pack you can just go to all, and you just want to look for your Amplify LUTs. So maybe a quicker way would be to go into stage and just go down, and you'll see them here, Amplify LUT. Now if you just click on those, you'll see they've got loads of different kind of effects in there. Now what these do is these actually focus on grading the image. Now you can see the image we've got in front of us. If you look at the walls, the green looks a bit flat, the skin on the character looks a bit flat, it doesn't pop as much. So what we can do, now the best ones in here to use for color grading type of stuff is the contrast. So we can see here, and they've got A, B, C and D, so they're just 3 different variations, but we'll try them all now. So we'll put one on, and you can see already that that's kind of added some darker tones to the scene. We'll undo that, and then we'll try this one down here, and that's made it a bit more dark, a bit more kind of edgy and cinematic, the type of kind of lighting you might expect for this type of scene. We'll just take that off and we'll add this one, and you can see again it's made it really dark and kind of cinematic and horror feely. And then if we try the last one, again you can see it's just kind of darkened it a little bit, but just a bit lighter. You can see a bit more detail in the scene, and I'd say this one works best for that scene. Now, once you've found your contrast that you like, and you may think it's a little bit too dark or there's a little bit too much contrast on there, we can actually control that and take that down and put less on. So what you do is you just come to your visual tab, and if that visual tab isn't showing, you can just go into your window and just click on the visual settings here, and then that will bring that visual tab up. And if we go onto this section here, we can see that down here we've got that effect that we just put on. So you can see here the contrast. If I turn that off, that would take that contrast off, and if I turn that on, you can see that gets put back on. So this is where your LUTs are stored every time you put one on. So you place a LUT on the scene, it will go into your visual tab, and you can see that down there. And then what you can do is the blend strength here, you can actually turn that up or down and find the right balance that suits you. So we'll go about 50% of the way, so that's kind of just half of the strength, and that's just because we are going to add some more LUTs on, so we're going to really layer that up. Now if we go back into our LUTs, we scroll down. Now we can see here we've got exposure. Now this is just going to brighten up the scene a bit. It's going to add some light to the scene and brighten it up in places where you might need it brightened. And it can also be used for effects like to create a sun effect, a sun kind of hitting off a character, etc. So we'll try this one now, and you can see that's just added a little bit of exposure to that scene. If I take that off, you can see that really does kind of add a little bit of brightness to that scene. And we'll try this one, and that just darkens the scene a little bit. So this is maybe if there's a little bit too much exposure, you can use that, and that will bring it down. That's a much more lower exposure. And we'll try this, and you can see just very subtle, but it's definitely there, and it definitely does something to that scene. As you can see on the walls, it just makes them pop a little bit more. It makes the red in the back pop. It makes the character in front of us pop just a little bit more. So I'd say we'd leave it there. Again, you can go in your visuals, and if you go on your exposure here, you'll see you could toggle that on and off, and that gives you full control over that. And that's already at 100, and it looks really nice. If we take that down, that will lower the exposure, but I think at about 100 was kind of pretty much perfect for that. So that's contrast and exposure that we've looked at, and we've already seen the image that we've got from that. Now if we go down You can see there is all sorts of other things, but I'm mainly focusing on kind of grading the footage to get, you know, a much more punchier look and, you know, a much more professional look that will be kind of ready to go out there and show to the world. So I'm focused on that today. So we're not going to look at all these wonderful effects that they do have, but the next thing we're going to look at is the vibrance. So that's down here. So you can see again, they've got 3 or 4 different ones, and we'll start from the top. So we'll place that on. And you can see that just done a little something to it. It just kind of brings back a bit more detail in the scene, and, you know, brings back a bit more detail in the floor, in the, you know, the surrounding environment, and, you know, really cool, and really does add something to that. We'll try this one, and you can see that's kind of made the colors a little bit funkier. We'll try this one, and that just then kind of brightens it all up, and you know, really kind of adds a certain look to it that you know, you might find quite creative. You can always go in the visuals, and on vibrance you can bring that down and, you know, see if that suits your needs. I think it is a bit too bright for this scene, so we're not going to look at that using that one, and we'll try vibrance D, and that makes it a little dark, and then we'll try E. Okay, that looks pretty cool. I like kind of what it's done to the character in the scene. You can kind of really see the green light that I've got set up kind of show much more predominantly on the character. We'll just take that off, and we'll just place that back on, and you can really see how much more vibrant it really does make that scene. So, you know, a really, really incredible effect. So now if we go back into our visual tab, we can see here that we've got contrast, we've got exposure, and we've got the vibrance, and we'll just tweak that just a little bit. Just bring that down to about 75 should do the trick. And you can really see now what has, you know, started to take place in that scene. If I just come here and turn all of those off, and that is the scene that we started with, and then if I place that on, you can really see the major difference it has done to that scene. So again, you know, you can really see why it's super important that we kind of, you know, look at these tools, because they really are the difference between, you know, this cinematic image and, you know, something that's just flat and not really appealing to the eye, as you can see here. So that's the quick and easy way to grade your footage inside Iclone and get some really fantastic looks that, you know, you would otherwise have to put in a third-party software like Adobe Premiere or, you know, Final Cut Pro to really start kind of grading it and getting a look like that. So really hope this tutorial's helped, guys, and, you know, really hope it's helped you, you know, to get creative and go ahead and create some wonderful looks for your scene. Hopefully see you again soon for another tutorial. Thank you very much.